Greetings. Tesla is a highly disruptive tech company, and it is modernizing not just the fuel mechanism of a car, making an electric vehicle viable finally for the first time, but even the way cars are sold, the distribution network. Auto dealerships are an unnecessary and very unproductive layer of the car buying experience, and you would think with so much e-commerce happening that the automobile dealership layer would be disintermediated by now, and the 8 to 10% extra that you're paying for a new car in the United States would be squeezed out because so many other industries have seen this type of disintermediation on account of e-commerce. So why hasn't the dealer network gone away? It's because of their government connections and their ability to lobby for government protection due to the traditional automakers' ties to the government. But when you have a new company, such as Tesla, it is not beholden to that existing paradigm and is able to bypass something that is technologically obsolete. So this article over here from Inside EVs is about how Tesla has altered the car dealership model for the better. And I'll leave this in the description box below. The article makes very good points about why the traditional dealership model is not only a poor experience, but is very, very unnecessary in the age of e-commerce. It described the traditional dealership experience very, very well and how negative and how creepy the whole thing is. And it's also expensive. It marks up the car by a lot. And then the Tesla experience, where you're buying directly from the manufacturer and the price is fixed, so there's no haggling, and you're getting it at a lower price because of the disintermediation of that dealership layer. Now, a lot of people don't like this because they have been trained to think that an auto dealership is some type of social good, and that's true of a lot of incumbent industries, but that's because auto manufacturers have for decades been more dependent on government protection across every aspect of their business, from their laborers being unionized to the dealers being unionized to all of the above, leaving them vulnerable to a new type of automobile manufacturer such as Tesla and other EV makers as well. So the article proceeds to describe the Tesla buying experience. Other benefits of this disintermediation is all the land that is freed up from these automobile dealerships. For example, if all cars were eventually sold directly, then how all these cities have entire miles of automobile dealership retailers that consume a huge amount of prime land in the middle of cities. The typical auto mile that we see in most American cities, which is a holdover of the 20th century, but is technologically obsolete. All of that could be chipped away gradually, and cars would not only be less expensive, but you would not have to haggle for at least a new car, and the whole thing would just be better. Many states are trying to block Tesla from selling in those states because the dealer networks are extremely powerful, and even Texas, supposedly a free market state, and someone that is opposed to regulations has effectively banned Tesla, but eventually Tesla will win that battle as well, just because the demand for the cars will be high enough. So this is favorable. Now I go to part 2 of this video where I posted a question initially unrelated to Tesla onto Quora and see the reaction from someone over there. We're going to see an example about how most people are just not in tune with the free market and ultimately are not in favor of the free market unless they're winning. When technological disruption and competitive pressures come for them, they suddenly want to go to the government for protection and become very vulgar and crude about trying to halt all competition through any means other than trying to build a better product or service. So I posed a question on Quora because I've long wanted this dealership concept among automobile sales in the United States to go away. And Tesla is a company that does not depend on a dealer network. So among the many disruptions that Elon Musk is doing through Tesla, one is that they're bypassing the dealer paradigm. And among cars, I prefer a Tesla, but I realize most people cannot afford a Tesla, and I cannot recommend to everyone that they simply buy a Tesla. Many people want to buy cars from companies other than Tesla, and many people even want to buy internal combustion engine cars, which is perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with that, but they will have to endure the middleman of the dealership, which increases the price of the car by 8 to 10%. So I posed a question. If you know exactly the make, model, and color of a brand new car that you wish to buy in the US, what is the best way to buy it online and get the invoice price or lower, bypassing the dealer with the 8 to 10% dealer markup? That's a reasonable question because all kinds of other industries have been disintermediated. Everything from television and film distribution to e-commerce to music, everything has been disintermediated and the middlemen have gone away. And this has been beneficial to consumers as well as to entrepreneurs who shook up the status quo. So I get a response from someone called Don Leadham, And he described himself as a former cross-country 18-wheeler driver, 10 years selling at prime, whatever that means. His response is very vulgar and crude and grammatically poor. He said, really, I think people like you should go F yourselves and so forth. And you can read his response. It's super vulgar and very ignorant. He asks, do you go to Costco and when you get to the register, you see the total and say, I'd like to pay 20% less? So he's never heard of e-commerce, for example. Again, more vulgarity, but look at how poor his grammar is. 3 commas in a row, commas at the start of a sentence, 3 commas no less, and so forth. So this is the reaction of someone who is not intelligent enough to compete in the marketplace and demands that what he does to earn a living should be protected. Now, if you go to the bottom, let's see what his background is before we look at my response. Bachelor's degree in film producing and feature film directing, New York Film Academy. Oh, so why is he not working in film production and film directing if that's what he studied in college? And remember, I'm not someone who thinks a fancy degree makes someone smart. I'm the one who makes fun of all these PhD economists, even if their PhD is from Harvard or MIT, because they know nothing about economics. But in this case, this is what the person studied. He graduated in 2005, and he is a car dealer, either a salesman or someone associated to the car dealer network. So draw your own conclusions about that. So my response, which of course is grammatically of high quality, but also informationally, I would hope to think much more logical, is as follows. I'm going to read it out. If people like you had power, we would still be in the Stone Age. You sound like someone who knows you can't compete in a free market and depends on make-work protectionism from the government. I bet you use Uber, Netflix, and Amazon, but don't weep for taxi drivers, Blockbuster Video, and Circuit City when they were replaced by something better and more efficient. Oh, and stop sending emails. Write postal letters instead so the United States Postal Service gets revenue. Your comment inspires all of us to find new ways to trim the ugly fat that dealers comprise of. Remember, Elon Musk has already built a business that eliminates the unnecessary dealer layer. The free market is what makes America great. Too bad for you that East Germany and the USSR dissolved. Now, it could have been much more cutting, but this is my response. And this is the reaction you're going to get from most people if you're trying to disrupt anything technologically, or if you're someone who recognizes the importance of creative destruction in the process of uplifting the human condition and the process of wealth creation and how any new prosperity is created in the economy in the first place. So if you found this response entertaining, I'm going to do more of these types of videos. And a lot of this comprises internet dialogues from people who maybe know a little bit about something or are only driven by emotion and so forth. I chose this particular response because the person at least used his real name. Anonymous commenters are usually not worthy of putting forth because they're much braver than they would be if they were using their real name. But I hope you found this entertaining and got some points on how you might respond to a similar type of question if it comes your way and you happen to disagree with this. Thanks for watching.